Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of EPM Chronicles and Confessions with Sam Kunda here. Sam, could you please introduce yourself on your EPM journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim. And it's a pleasure to be on your podcast. So I'm Sam Kunda. I'm the founder of Change Frontier. We're a finance change and transformation consultancy. We help organizations to automate, integrate, and streamline their finance operations, providing them with project management, business analysis, and data integration resources to deliver finance change projects. And so we do a bit more than just EPM, but my EPM journey started, I think, back in 2007, actually. So it was the beginning of my career. So it doesn't seem so long ago, but, yeah, but when you say the actual year, it sounds quite far back.
Yeah.
And I started out working for a big insurance company, Ameline PLC at the time. And now when I look back, actually they were quite an extremely well structured organization, and they were doing back then what a lot of companies of their size are only trying to do now. By that, I mean they were doing quite a lot of transformation projects. They had a big program management team, but quite integral to what they did as an insurance company was enterprise planning. They did it really well, because that really drove, how the business moved forward and how they could plan a forecast for revenue and also for the disasters, etc. And at the time, they were using Cognos planning, so that sort of tells you how how old that is. And I started out in their finance systems department, and there was a big project there to replace Cognos planning with just newer models of Cognos planning itself, and kind of just evolving what they were doing. But because it was so complex, it ended up being quite a massive project. And that was really the intro. So it was straight early into my career, straight into a finance change project, and straight into EPM, alongside many other projects.
Sure. Cool. Thank you for that. This is just like a quirky question I ask everybody because we do a very complex thing in terms of our industry.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult sometimes to explain it to others what we do. So have you had any misconceptions what you do, or can you explain it to your family what you do?
Yeah, I think that's the harder thing, isn't it? Explaining to your family. I think they say all sorts of things. I think it's harder for them to understand, probably easier with a stranger. But I think with EPM, probably what I found quite funny once is, someone says, does EPM stand for every problem magically disappears? Right? Because I think it's kind of everyone thinks that it's kind of the all singing, all dancing, mystical, all-knowing oracle that will solve all these problems, and it's kind of the misconception. And really, I try to sort of explain to people that it's not just about number crunching, churning out reports. It's really understanding the story behind those numbers.
Sure.
It's a bit like being a detective, but instead of solving crime, you're unraveling the mysteries of the business performance.
Sure. Fantastic. Thank you. So what has been your significant challenge, I can say, in EPM or your career that you've faced and you've kind of dealt with?
Yeah, I think there've been several challenges along the journey. I think that's what kind of makes it quite interesting,
Sure.
being in this space. But maybe most topical, recently we collaborated with another consultancy to deliver a first of its kind cutting edge integrated business planning. So an XP&A solution.
Brilliant.
And the biggest challenge there was really data and integration. So if you think about a global business with different divisions, doing the same thing, but it's in different ways, as a certain level of autonomies and different systems. And if you've got a massive global footprint, that quickly becomes a challenge, trying to commonize that data and then bring it all together to then have an integrated planning is extremely difficult. So I think that was the biggest challenge, because we had great developers on hand with great project management, great business engagement, but trying to get that data, trying to get it commonized, and trying to get everyone on the same page was extremely difficult. And it's kind of the beauty of what we do as Change Frontier, because we've seen that before. That's kind of our sweet spot, and that's part of why we partnered with the consultancy to help them out in that particular engagement. Is we can bring our methodology of bringing people together, so not just the hard skills, but the softer skills. Understanding those cultural sensitivities and nuances, and kind of building a framework that people can collaborate within, but then also building, a data integration strategy and acquisition, and going out to all the different territories, and bringing all that data in, and then building models. And we were very successful at that. So, it was kind of a blocker for them. We managed to get that unstuck, and we managed to get moving, and actually that project's been delivered, and I think it's quite a big testament.
Fantastic. So could be related to the last question, but that was the challenge. But what would you say is your standout success in your career?
In my career.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's been many in my career, but I would probably say, because this one is most relevant and most recent, I would say that's probably been
Okay.
The most standout, because not just because of the complexities involved, but what we were doing, particularly in the EPM space, is quite revolutionary. XP&A is a very new thing, and particularly with this particular client, being a safety car manufacturer, the level of detail that we're trying to get to in terms of planning was right down to the lowest thread and bolt.
Wow.
That you forecast, but bringing all the different cross-functional data from all the different, from finance, HR, pretty much across the organization, bring to a planning solution. So I'd say that's been the biggest achievement, because that was a big undertaking. It's never been done before. There wasn't a blueprint.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Exactly. We managed to get it done. I mean, we didn't deliver the whole project ourselves. As I said, we were working in partnership, but also being able to collaborate with another consultancy.
Right.
It's extremely, that is what our vision is in terms of how we grow as an organization, is really through the partnerships. We look at partnerships as a way of strength, and a way of really increasing our expertise, and what we can really do to push EPM, as a whole.
Fantastic. So what would you say is the most rewarding part of what you do?
I probably would say I'm very much a people person.
Yeah.
I think as much as I love tech and AI and how we're utilizing it, I still do really think all the magic happens because of people. I think I'm a people first type of person. And so I would say probably collaborating with knowledgeable individuals within the organization that possess, those intrinsic understanding of their operation, understanding their deep operational insights, translating these into effective solutions. I find that particularly fulfilling. And I'd say it goes beyond the process of just data analysis. It involves connecting people, empathizing with them, with their challenges, transforming, their expertise into strategies that resonate across the organization, and then witnessing that transformation, not only in performance metrics, but in how these individuals perceive their roles and contributions. It's truly gratifying. And I see it as it's about bridging knowledge with action, and leading to sustainable collective success. So, I would say just really connecting with those people that you're working with on a project, and understanding what they do, and bringing that to life and bringing it to a solution. I think that's, for me, is the most rewarding aspect.
Oh, cool. So here's a quirky question, in the sense there's a lot of things that unexpected happen, or humorous, or something like that. So is there anything you can share with the audience?
Do you know what? It's very interesting, actually, because you normally associate, or at least most people in the industry, that they'll associate EPM, or effectively they'll think it's a tech project, right? And a lot of the people that deliver these type of projects tend to be very techy, and people think they're very geeky. But what I've tended to find is that they're also extremely quirky. And I had quite an interesting experience. So early on in my career, when we're working on a re-implementation for an EPM solution. So it was actually at the insurance company, and I can't name the consultant's name.
Sure.
But he, what we were trying to do was extremely complex. And so they brought in this guy, and he was meant to be the industry guru at the time, right? And I'm sure you recall with Cognos Planet, there weren't many consultants. It was a handful. And he came in, and he was he kind of had that Einstein flair, a bit bordering on the cusp of just very wacky, quite very professional. So you just expected him to kind of exude that. And I was working closely with him. So initially on the project, I was assigned to work with him because I understood that the legacy systems, and he was just obsessed with explaining. Well, was saying to me how actually he was more of like a rock star, and he had this rock star lifestyle because of his career, and he had all these rock star experiences, and he was out in New York. To the extent of saying, he was, trying to convince me, and he would say things like, my very extreme. He would say, my ex-girlfriend was Mick Jagger's ex-girlfriend. That's how much of a rock star I am, So it was quite a fascinating thing because he had these two contrasts of this guy who supposedly just high octane fast life, but really was this sort of like EPM guru. But the funny thing was, because he was so infatuated with these ideas, he'd often go off on tangents and try to tell all these stories, and leadership kind of picked up that as much as he was great was what he was doing, he would go off piece. So kind of my unofficial role was also to kind of just bring him back in line and kind of become like the developer whisperer, and it was just, he just had little funny quirks. Like I remember we were sat at our desk, really trying to figure out how we build these models, and he would just take off his shoes and he'd be walking around the office with all senior execs just without shoes around this big corporate office. So I think it's definitely a lot of the developers I've met along the line they can be quite quirky and quite interesting, I'd say.
Fantastic, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So you're a founder, you're a leader. I mean, what's been the inspiration to start something yourself, your own consultancy?
So I would say, I was in the industry for quite a few years. I started off, as I mentioned, working in finance systems and transformation. And I worked on several projects, different organizations. And what I discovered, so I went consulting independently first. And what I discovered is that most of the engagements I was called on were rescue missions.
Right.
It's the projects have been started, and for various reasons, and it's quite natural. That the customer or the clients, they would get different resources from different places, kind of put that in together with a mixture of their own internal, kind of put a project team together and try and deliver the project. And invariably, they would hit quite a lot of issues because you'd maybe get a project manager who has no real understanding of finance solutions or finance systems, has never delivered, a transformation project or a data analyst or similar, all along that journey, because there are some specifics that you have to be attuned to. And so invariably it made me realize that there wasn't really a focused consultancy that could deliver just finance change and transformation. Right, who say, right, this is our bread and butter. We understand it. We've done it year on year. We've delivered several projects. We understand what you need to do, and therefore, we can help you save time, help you save money, but more importantly, help deliver your project. So rather than kind of starting trying to figure everything out, and then you've burned a month or 6 months or a year, and in some cases, there were some projects that were delayed by 2 years. Which is, wow. If you think about it in this day and age, that's a big hole in your cash flow, and so that's what really compelled me to start the organization. And as I said, at Change Frontier, we're specialists in finance systems implementation. That's really our niche. And previously we were very systems agnostics. We didn't really cater just to one solution. Sure. The whole idea is, clients would come to us very independent, and we'll be working with them to find out what is the best solution for them. And over time, there's been a need from the clients for us to have at least a preferred partner or a preferred vendor where we've got a really good relationship, we've got the expertise, the best in class, because they're saying, well, sure, if you're ready to do this, at least partner with one or two that if we
Mm.
want to have a quick option, we can, and where you've already tested they're good. And actually, quite relevantly in the EPM space, that's where we've partnered with Jedox. So, Jedox are really well positioned. Their solution is really modern, really cutting edge. They really understand the whole integrated business planning. They're already implementing AI in their solution, just a standard.
Interesting.
Yeah, and already have quite a lot of templates that you can use. So rather than really trying to code or make it complex, it's all very front end and is continually evolving. So I think we started off with the vision of really being niche and being your hub for finance change and transformation, which we are, and having these partnerships like with Jedox is really helping us to evolve into a place where clients and customers or people in industry can have solutions that work for them.
Oh, fantastic. Really good. So this is probably pertinent to you in the sense like the industry is changing, your name change, Frontier, and there's multiple stuff happening, vendor-wise, competition, all this stuff. How you keep abreast of information out there? I mean, what do you do to keep updated?
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it? It's very easy to have information overload. I think there's so much information everywhere. You have information coming at you all the time, but we try and keep it a bit simple, quite organic. So of course, we always collaborate with tech leaders and experts in the industry like yourself. That's why we're having this conversation.
Sure.
Keeping up to date, exchanging ideas, see what's developing. We do collaborate with academia as well. Understanding the research they're doing. I think that's quite key. It's quite important. The natural industry conferences. Participating in professional forums, but really, as I said, for us, we're heavy on the collaboration. So collaborating a lot with the vendors and other consultancies, and understanding, what is coming, how is the environment moving, and how are we keeping abreast of that, and what new ideas are out there, or what are you doing as best practice that we can adopt. And through that, you just naturally will stay ahead. And we look at ourselves we don't look at competitors. We look at more as collaborators, right? So, and that really helps because we're looking at it as how do we work together to maintain that competitive edge. And so we always are looking to collaborate, and through those collaborations, I think it really does help us stay ahead of the trends.
Fantastic. So we have in the audience a lot of people who are trying to learn EPM or trying to enter EPM or even retrain in EPM, and also companies training new people in EPM. What's your advice to people trying to understand more about EPM or learning or educating or training?
Yeah, I'd probably say be open-minded to start with, and for us, apart from even just training, a lot of what we do obviously is implementation. So I would say, irrespective of where you are on that journey, be very open-minded. It's very easy to have a closed-minded view of I've always done it this way, or my legacy system or my current practice does it this way. Therefore, something new that I'm training on, if it doesn't deliver what I'm used to, then it's not for me. And I would really say, start with the end goal in mind. So, have that vision, have a strategy, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. That is your compass, right? And as we're speaking, I kind of think of sort of like that John F. Kennedy, inaugural quote, where he says, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." But kind of in a similar vein, I would spin that for EPM and say, instead of what can I do with EPM, think what can EPM do for me?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's kind of starting with what are the full capabilities of what I'm about to train on? What are the full capabilities of the new solutions, or what is it that I don't know, so that you don't limit yourself to just your knowledge or your single focus or your limited awareness. I would say that those would be my main tips: is just explore and use your strategy and your goals and your compass as your guiding force. And there's so much evolution that's happened, in the past 5 years when it comes to the tech space. So there's a lot to learn.
Completely. A question really going beyond that. What do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years? I mean, things are already changing, isn't it? But what's your view on the future?
Yeah, do you know what? It's quite exciting. It's quite fascinating. I think there's a lot of change and a lot coming in the future. I think we're starting to see quite a lot of that already. Maybe if I broke it down into, say, about 3 things, I'd probably say one which I see everywhere now and quick adoption is AI.
Yeah.
So I think AI and machine learning, I think that's extremely enhancing, EPM tools, but all systems in general and all processes.
Yes, completely.
I think they're not just automating, routine tasks. It's the advanced analytics and really enabling businesses to anticipate, market changes and respond proactively. And I think that really is going to transform, the EPM tools. And like I mentioned previously, Jedox is already doing some of that. They've got that embedded, and you can really produce, much more future predicting forecasts, for instance, or narratives. It can analyze the data a lot quicker and give you suggestions as to maybe what you should be focusing on. Then second, I'd probably say a great emphasis on real-time data and analysis. I think data is a big thing. I think, businesses operate increasingly dynamic environments, and, the ability to make swift, informed decisions, based on real-time data is a lot more essential. And I think as EPM tools evolve, they offer more immediate insights, reducing the reliance on periodic reports and just enabling more agile, I'd say, decision-making. And then maybe the third point I would say is there'll be a growing focus on user experience and then democratization of data is what I'd like to refer to it as.
Sure.
So the EPM tool becoming more intuitive, user friendly, and allowing broader range of employees to access and interpret data. So I think that democratization will kind of foster data-driven cultures within the organization. And so it's not just up to top executives to drive the change. Anyone in the business can access the data, understand it, and really, build an awareness of what is needed. And I'd probably say as well, lastly, I think this is kind of, it resonates in every industry now, right? And I think it's the increased importance of sustainability and corporate social responsibility. I think if you look at EPM tools, they're really beginning to start to incorporate metrics beyond financial performance. So, that's with ESG factors and providing a more holistic view of organization performance and aligning that with sort of broader societal goals, because that's at the forefront of everyone now. Even if you look at climate change now, everyone's quite concerned about that. We see the change in weather patterns, and that's just one aspect. And so I think it's really at the forefront of everyone. Everyone wants to ensure that you are being sustainable and you are looking after the society and the things that matter to people. That these organizations are sharing the same sort of care and empathy and alignment in goals, right? So I think that's really key. So I'd say, if I were to sort of kind of summarize that, it's about, EPM being more predictive, real time, user friendly, a bit more industry specific and socially conscious. And I would say, aligning that and, with with what's evolving globally, then I think, tools and businesses and process and organizations and people are then really tied into the success of anything they're doing.
Oh, fantastic. It's been really insightful. Really enjoyed it, and it's been a great kind of prediction of the future, what's going to happen. And I'm hoping some of those things will definitely come true. Thank you so much. And we will definitely be in touch and do other things in the future. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, great talk.
You too.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.